Wow. I can appreciate how you feel about her. I've been in the job 30 days. She's been incredible from a mentoring. I also want to thank the executive committee, Karen Albers, Karen Madsen, Barb and Heather, and all the regional directors and all the people who have just made me feel incredibly welcome. I also want to thank the staff. When I asked them to say, well, what does the executive director say? Well, they bring them up, they introduce them, embarrass them, and they don't like it, so they're not going to stand. So, but would you stand up anyway? It is extremely humbling to be here. I joined the United States Navy at the age at the age of 17, right out of high school. I spent 36 years on active duty and retired as a Navy captain. And it is very hard to get to that. Men and women, less than 1% of 1% of 1% of women ever make it from E1 to 06. And the same goes forward with men. It's very difficult. But there are things along the way that I learned. And I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, and you'll know why. I talk to newcomers about this, but my parents died when I was 8. My mother, who was a Brownie Scout leader, be prepared, still remember, she was a Brownie leader. She also was in the PTA. And she always enjoyed her connections and that sort of thing. The reason I tell you that is because when they passed away, my parents both died, when they passed away, I still remember people from the PTA and from the Girl Scouts coming by to make sure the three of us who were now with no parents had food, had some ability to do things. And I've always had a special heart for the Girl Scouts and the PTA. As I grew up and went through my life and joined the United States Navy, it was really interesting to find out the kinds of things you learn. I joined the United States Navy when women were not at the Naval Academy, when there were no women jet pilots, when there were no women master at arms, when there was very things. And so people say, well, you were a trailblazer. But I'll tell you just a couple quick things, and I don't have a lot of time. They said keep it short. But basically, when you join the Navy, it's kind of thing. I stayed for a lot of reasons. One, equal pay for equal work, equal promotion opportunity, and the ability to travel all over the world. I've lived in Europe and lived in Southeast Asia and lived all over the world, but I learned a couple of things. We're not that much different regardless of our diversity. We really need to figure out how to live a better life. What I learned, and also as I was going up through the thing, there's no job too hard. I don't know how many times I was told as a woman, there's no way you'll do that. We're not going to let you. You keep saying, every time they told me no, I told them yes. Every time they tell me you can't do that, I said, yes, I can. There's no different than the people in this room. Every single one of you every day in your advocacy for children does the same thing. So my first call to fame, for whatever it's worth, I was enlisted, got commissioned, did my degree at night. Hate going to night school, hated it. But you know, you do what you have to do. So they called me when I was at Officer Candidate School, and I was the only woman in the entire United States Navy that had any experience working in a prison. I was in a Marine Corps red line prison that they had these red lines, and the prisoner had to go every 3 feet and pop off their social security number. Pretty vicious place. I was the first woman drug and alcohol counselor, so I have that background. So they called me and they said, we want you, the only one we have in the inventory, we want you to be the first woman to ever run a Navy prison. And we're going to give you a pipeline for that. My women, we were all feminists back in those days, but hardcore, but oh my God, what do you mean they gave you more training than they do men? And I said, bring it on. How cool. I'm thinking, here was my training track for that job. I went to the FBI Academy and did a lot of stuff on the terrorists, and I was the first woman hostage negotiator for the Navy. I went to the Criminal Justice Commission in Walla Walla with 22 men and became one of the first women to get through there, and their Master at Arms Court of Correctional Custody. I was a corrections officer. I can shoot a 38 and a 45. Okay, I can shoot those. Don't like to, but I can. And then I went to San Quentin and got to sit in the gas chamber and talk to people on death row. Now you think how strange that is, but one of the things in running the prison that I did was I saw a couple of things. One was if you're a child and you don't always have the best role models and you don't always have the best education, you get into some issues and concerns. There were a lot of the people that were in my prison that went on that basically had bad death charges, that if someone had intervened, And I think what I love about the Washington State PTA, you don't have any trouble intervening. I have learned that. The second thing I'll tell you, it was kind of interesting, was, so I'm going through my life, and I was in a squadron as one of the first women assistant maintenance officers in our squadron, got to actually take care of 12 planes, actually did land on aircraft carriers, with the 4 first women jet pilots. Went on to be one of the first 4 women who was a ROTC instructor, did my master's degree, Sound University at night, thank you. Hate night school. But in my community, as a woman, in order to get promoted to lieutenant commander or a major in the Army, you had to have a master's degree. So I go on, and so I was an adjunct professor. I understand teaching. What I love about the Parent Teachers Association is that I love teachers. But I'll tell you a quick story about that. So I'm getting ready. I'm supposed to go through and everything, and the guy, the Navy captain who was running it, I was a lieutenant, calls me and says, I want to let you know right now, I do not want you in my ROTC unit. I do not want a woman teaching the midshipmen. And I go, okay, I have thick skin. Okay. I don't think there's anything you can teach them. I said, well, with all due respect, sir, which then means you don't have any respect, but okay, with all due respect, it's a Navy thing. So did you have women teachers when you were growing up? Well, yes. I said, I rest my case. I love teachers. I love what they do. I love how they interface, and the fact that there are parents who are also teachers, and the fact that there are special ed teachers. There are a lot of people in this room who are teachers, and all of us as parents teach. I have 4 stepkids. I taught a lot. Thing it goes through, I'm the XO, a number 2 person of a Combat Systems Command, which is all the Tomahawk and Harpoon shooting on the entire Eastern Seaboard. I was the Chief of Staff for the Mediterranean. My responsibilities were I had oversight responsibility for 8 bases in the Mediterranean. I then screened for a Major Command, which is the Navy. That's our military. That's a big thing. I ran the 4th largest naval station in the world. I was responsible for 67,000 people, $2.2 billion, $450 million in contracts, 3,000 housing units. I was also the mayor and the city manager. I had to deal with all kinds of congressionals. I'm a legislative. I've done that before. I have testified. Not fun. Don't like it, but can do it. And the reason I tell you all, I had my own public works, had my own sewer plant. There's not a lot of stuff I don't know, that every day I woke up and went, when was I supposed to learn that? Because I don't always know the answers. Went on, was the Dean of Students in Monterey at postgraduate school, and then was in the Pentagon for 2 years and did all kinds of stuff. I'll tell you my quick 2 last stories. So I'm the Dean of Students in Monterey at postgraduate school. I love being a Dean of Students. I had 72 different countries that were, in fact, had students who were getting masters in their PhD programs. 1,700 students, people coming from Afghanistan and Iraq. 2 guys tried to commit suicide, lots of PTSD, lots of different things, wonderful Americans. But let me tell you about the children. I work with the PTAs in Monterey and worked with the both school boards because of the number of children who their parents were on their 4th and 5th deployments. And then the bad thing happened, and one of the individuals supposed to be coming to Monterey was killed in action. Their family was already there. And what will always, I think, resonate with me is the little 6-year-old like today who was told Daddy was not coming home. And I had been there, my parents. It was so amazing talking to them. Military families, I'm the chairman of the governor's committee for my volunteer side, chairman of the governor's committee for all the veterans in the state. I travel around, doesn't matter demographics or how old they are, and I always deal with children. And what was great about this job, that I was able to, in fact, now do both. I can go to the eastern side, I can go to Spokane. They always complain a lot, we don't come over there either, we do now. We go to the eastern side. And I'll talk to PTAs and I'll meet with you, and I'm really excited about that. And my last story is this. So my husband and I moved here 4 years ago. I love the state of Washington. I was stationed here 30 years ago, tried to get back. They would never let me come back. I don't understand why, but okay. We did a business case analysis. You'll find I'm a data girl. I do everything by the data. I do everything by that because I think you can make better choices. So we did a cost-benefit analysis. It came down to 3. I've lived all over the world. I could have lived anywhere. My 4 kids or stepkids are all gone. We came back here and people go, why? I'll tell you why. The beauty of the state. the goodness of its people. Everybody I meet, even today, this have been incredible. The fact that every time you talk to someone, they care. They yell at you sometimes, but that's okay. They still care. Interesting weekend. It's okay. And the fact that best cost of living, you may not think that, but it is. I lived in Virginia where my utility bills were $600 a month. San Diego, California, I was there for 3 tours because of the Colorado River issues. Water bills are $385 a month. When you look at the cost of living here, it really is better average than most of the places. And with the goodness of the people, they really, really care. And here's what happened. So my husband and I moved here. He's from Minneapolis, St. Paul. My family's in LA. I said, but Mom, my mom-in-law, it only costs, we can get there in a minute. Moved here, no friends, no family, have lots of friends, have lots of family now. What was really more amazing about coming here was we moved to Frederickson. I'm in a school district out there. They have what's called future schools. Community members, parents, whatever, you can go and visit school. Most transparent school system I've ever seen in my life. And why? Because when I was at Great Lakes and we had North Chicago and different, we have to go through metal detectors, make sure there's no guns and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, wow, this is pretty transparent. What's great about this school district, though, is they get to go to all these classes. So I go to a special ed class. I love special ed teachers. They are saints. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how. So there are 4 children. Well, there's a parent reading. Oh my God, how great is that? There's a parent reading to these 4 children. There's a therapist working on one's leg, and he's whimpering in pain because they have to work on his legs all the time because he's got something. Under HIPAA rules, they can't tell you. It looks like a child is sort of in a fetal position, and they're talking to her. And I thought, what a great group of folks. Fast forward, when I retired from the United States Navy, I went to work as a senior account executive at a nonprofit. I was giving a grocery store kind of thing. You raise a lot of money. Go to a grocery store. Gave this presentation about how it was important to give $1. And I understand membership dues. One of my jobs is to make sure your membership dues are used okay. I understand the value of $1. And I told them, if you give $1, you can do this. If you give $72 to the Tacoma Rescue Mission, they can feed 280 people. And we talk about this $1. This young man at the end of this, and Beth from Fish Food Banks is with me, and he comes up and he's got crutches, and he, I think, has cerebral palsy. He's probably 19 or 20, and he walks up to me and he hands me $1 and he says, I know you will do good work with it. But here's the punchline. Somewhere over the last 12, we have great schools in the state of Washington, I'll tell you why. In 12 to 13 years of that young man, they took care of him because he's a taxpayer. They made sure he had what he needed to have his full potential. They made sure that over all the teachers and all the parents and all the administrators and everybody in that young man's life, because why? $1 was all he could give, but he gave it. How could you not want to belong to a part of an organization that every single day that you wake up, you know you'll make a difference in someone's life? Because when you help everyone, you help everyone. Thank you.